For 7 years, my YouTube channel has been around. And for that amount of time, the core audience has been Japanese car fans. And that's great. I also cover just about everything nowadays. As you guys know, watch my Suburban review, and I'm reviewing a Volvo EX30. I just reviewed the plug-in hybrid Mercedes-Benz GLC 350e. Japanese fans are always going to be my core audience. And so I need to update you on your availability on Japanese cars. With the tariffs hitting right now, Japanese cars have essentially a 25+% import tariff if you're getting it from Japan, if it's made in Japan, right? We know most Hondas are built here. A ton of Toyotas are built here. I want to say it's like 60% of Toyotas are built in North America that are sold in North America, but they have their own issues with Mexico and Canada production. But we'll talk, that's not what today's discussion is. This video is really going to be about Japanese cars that are coming from Japan, imported into the United States. Some of you only want Japanese-built, Japanese-branded cars instead of American-built ones or Canadian or Mexican-built ones. I totally get that, all right? I appreciate that they're Takumi craftsmen, their attention to detail, their manufacturing, their people care more about their jobs over there, whatever you want to believe. Some people will swear by Japanese quality over anywhere else in the world, or especially over American-made Japanese cars, or should I say American-made Japanese brand cars. Believe what you want. People want Japanese cars made in Japan, and it doesn't need to be all of them. Most people don't care. However, with the tariffs, that has just massively put a wrench in the system, not only for the whole Japanese economy when it comes to exporting vehicles, it's going to make cars more expensive wherever they're made. Even in the United States, it'll make them more expensive. If we can make some progress here, check this out. It seems like we're making progress here. Negotiations between the United States and Japan. And these negotiations have to result in something very positive. Otherwise, things like the Prius and most of your Lexus cars and most of your Subarus, most of your Mazdas, most of all your Mitsubishis, a lot of your Nissans. In fact, in Nissan, for example, my Leaf video is coming out on the 17th in the morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, so stay tuned for that. But Nissan, for example, supposedly all their hybrids and EVs in the future will be coming from Japan, at least initially, before they can figure out a way to ramp up production and suppliers here in the United States for their e-axles, their inverters, etc. All right, so it's pretty crazy how far Nissan is behind with EVs and hybrids in the United States. In the meantime, they're supposed to import them from Japan, and with the tariffs, who the heck knows how much cars will get more expensive. Japan is making progress with U.S. tariff talks, and this article came out on June 6th. So what are we on the 9th now? And I didn't feel like making anything about it because Akazawa-san, who is negotiating this deal with the United States, declined to say what progress had been made. There is progress. We just don't know what it was. All right. We know that the tariffs on auto, steel, aluminum are impacting the Japanese economy. There is going to be a G7 summit. And that is going to be on the 15th, June 15th. Hopefully there will be a deal done before then. Japan proposes auto tariff mechanism based off of industry contribution. But this other article dives in a little bit more of what progress has been made. All right, this proposed scale reduction plan. So Japan has eased its demand for the full repeal of the 25% U.S. auto tariff. It seems like Japan was making no ground for the removal of the 25% tariff. However, they're proposing a mechanism to reduce that tariff rate based off how much that country contributes to the U.S. auto industry. So how I see this, and who knows, this could all change in the coming days, right? That's what's fascinating about these tariff talks. Love them or hate them, I'm just a fly on the wall, and I enjoy seeing all the changes from day to day. If Toyota is like, hey, we make 60% of our cars in the United States, how about you give us a 60% off of those cars being imported from Japan or other countries as well, but mainly Japan. So that would get it down to about 11% import tariff if they use that sort of ideology. Hey, 60% of our cars are made in the United States. sold in the United States or North America. How about you give us a break? Give us a 60% tariff break on the cars coming from Japan. And therefore, the tariffs on Japanese cars could be around 10, 11%. That would be a huge win. Still more expensive than what we're used to seeing at 2.5%, but still, compared to many other countries like Canada, who's at 25 plus percent, compared to Mexico, who's 25 plus percent, this doesn't seem like that bad of a deal. But I mean, let me know what you guys think. Do you think it should be more than that? Should it scale differently than that? I don't know. All right. If you look at this is the thing with Subaru's, let's say 60% of their product comes from Japan. So let's take that 27.5 import tariff and we minus just 40%. Okay. Now Subaru is going to be hit with 16.5% tariffs with that thinking. Mazda imports 80% from Japan. We take 27.5% import tariff minus 20% reduction. Mazda still hit with a 20+% import tariff because of the lack of domestic production, at least domestic production in the United States, U.S. domestic production, I should say, not Japanese. I'm not quite sure. Is that enough? Maybe they come out with something more aggressive than that. And I don't know. Let me know if you guys have a solution. I'm sure these guys are a little bit more qualified than we are to talk about this stuff. I just find it interesting. And the lower the tariffs on Japanese imports, the better. Now, Honda is essentially completely immune from Japanese imports. And Acura, they have 0 cars besides the Civic Type R. And the rumors are that that's going to be canceled in the next year or two. I don't know. It just got discontinued in Europe, the Civic Type R. Because of emissions regulations and whatnot. Ooh, it's just silly. I mean, it's such a small volume car. Why kill off these specialty cars because they don't meet emissions regulations? It just drives me bonkers. And I'm sure a lot of my European fans would agree that the lack of having the RCF or the LC500 V8, in certain countries is just craziness. But if a deal is struck, I will update you guys as soon as possible if a deal struck with Japan. If you guys haven't been up to date on this has been accelerating the past couple days and weeks. 90% of the rare earths made for the entire world come out of China. They're extremely toxic to produce and refine, And China is happy to do the dirty work for the rest of the world to get their hands on and export these rare earth metals. All right, that are needed for batteries, that are needed for electric motors, that are needed for exhaust and catalytic converters, as well as other parts in the car. They've just struck a 6-month deal to make sure that General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis get priority with these earth metals. For example, in Japan, something I think it was the Suzuki Swift, just got put on pause because they don't have the rare earth metals to produce the vehicle. China has... Not only is the battery end of things with lithium and whatnot, they essentially have a stranglehold on battery production, but they also have a stranglehold on rare earth metals. And if they decide to put a clamp down on it, prices will skyrocket, cars will get vastly more expensive, and things just get really, really ugly really quick. All right. Now, electric motors, which use permanent magnets, which use these rare earths, for example, induction motors can be made that don't require the rare earths. All right. But they're not as efficient. And everything's about efficiency nowadays and packaging. And so, I know some BMWs and Teslas, some of them use induction motors instead of the permanent magnet asynchronous motors. Toyota essentially exclusively uses the permanent magnets, which are costlier but more efficient, and they're hybrids and they're EVs. It seems like there's also, and believe what you want from the Chinese media, but it seems like there's a lot of smuggling going on with these rare earths on the Chinese end of things, and maybe outside of China as well, which is increasing the demand for these and also increasing costs. Besides tariffs, this is probably the second biggest thing happening in the industry right now is the rare earths just having less availability. And we need to figure out a way for other countries to produce these rare earths. China should not have a 90% bottleneck on the production of these, but they do. They got ahead of the curve. They're super smart for doing this. And maybe it's really bad for the environment. People are going to be dying from the toxins that are byproducts of refining these rare earths. Hey, if it's in China, we don't have to worry about it. That's kind of like the global capitalist mentality. Anyways, I'll shut it down. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more automotive news, especially when it comes to Japanese cars. Have a great day and peace.